Well, that is actually kind of a funny story. I mean, it started up with me having a coffee with the former Prime Minister of Austria, Alfred Gusenbauer, which is a PhD, UC veteran, and so on. And after him finishing his term as Prime Minister in Austria, he went to as a scholar, a visiting professor, to Columbia University and to Brown University. So I was sitting there talking with him, you know, this is what I've done, what should I do? And he said, well, you should go study in the US. So he actually, you know, recommended me to go to Brown University first, and they didn't have your international program, but I came in contact with Professor Michael Kennedy, and he warmly recommended me to contact the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, because he said they might have a program that could be interesting for you. And I was a bit like, hey, okay, that sounds good. So I, you know, took a look at the program. I wrote you guys here on the department, and finding out this combination of, you know, being in US, studying, and being able to, you know, to study Europe in the same way, but also then this comparative social policy perspective of being able to overlook these varieties of capitalism or varieties of welfare states that maybe you, coming from Sweden, would phrase it on, is, I think, very interesting. So I was, you know, very glad, and of course this opportunity of being over here, overseas for me as a European, and then going overseas, but from, in my case, then going to Southern Europe, to Barcelona, is really interesting. And I think this, with my, you know, background of working in multicultural environment, I think that is an underestimated experience. And I think having that insight of the program is actually very beneficial, because it's not only that you look at positions from, you know, different kind of academical angles, also from different cultural angles. And the combination of that, I mean, that is sort of like what the world is made up to. So I think that is extraordinary with this program. So I'm very happy that I had the opportunity to go here. My name is Johan Hassel. I'm a Swedish citizen. And, you know, I lived in various places in Sweden. I lived in various places in Israel, in Kosovo, in Istanbul, and in Vienna. And now I'm really enjoying having the opportunity and experience to live here in Chapel Hill in the US. But even though, you know, I lived in different places, I also travel a lot to about 60 countries in the world, which means that coming from Sweden, I would actually not consider myself, you know, as being a Sweden for the most, but more or less, you know, like a global citizen. And that's why I think this opportunity of studying in a transatlantic master's program with the US-European relations and having a Swedish perspectives on those studies is really interesting. It's really interesting for me. And I think that is a good opportunity that I wish more would have. But going back a bit, man, who am I, what am I coming from, besides from Sweden? I mean, as more as I'm then a global citizen, I'm also a social democrat. I joined the Social Democratic Youth League kind of early, been a volunteer activist for many years, and then served in the national board, was responsible for the ideological magazine, wrote a lot of articles. I was doing the evaluation of the social democratic performance in national elections, and of course doing a lot of international affairs, which eventually led me to being elected to the position as Secretary General of UC, which is the umbrella organization of all of the worldwide social democratic, socialist, and labor movements around the world. So it was an organization with about 150 members around the world, which is making it the largest political party youth organization, but also one of the largest international youth civil organizations. And we had like a consultative status with inside of the United Nations and so on. So we worked, of course, with politics, but also with human rights, democracy building, did a lot of trainings, and peace and security. And I mean, to give one example, we had both members from Israel and Palestine within inside of organization. So we could really, I mean, bring people together and have also the difficult talks, not only sitting and having a common agenda of, you know, how do we want the world to develop, but also being able to deal with different issues that is somewhat hard. So that was a very, you know, nice and unique experience that I think, looking at the other things that I did, like for example serving in the Swedish military and then also in Kosovo as a chief of a medical team under NATO forces, and being a project manager for the Olof Palmes International Center, working in Middle East as well, I think, you know, that experience of politics, development, and military is kind of a broad perspective, broad experience, and it's given me the opportunity to see the world from different angles. And I studied in Lund, political science, economics, and business, and now being here to continue studying political science and government is really challenging, and again, looking at the world with a bit of different, more academic eyes. I'm very glad of, being the first one to receive this scholarship, and the fact that it's coming out of grad students from the TAM program, I think is, you know, extraordinary, because it gives this feeling of how linked people are together. And I think that, you know, that's a part of belonging. Not only that you have a very, you know, nice feeling with the students that you're in this class to, and you know, us in the TAM program of 2014, but also in that way being connected to earlier TAM students. And then also, I mean, feeling both a bit, you know, obliged, but I mean, to live up to this, which I'm hoping and think that I will gladly do. But also, I mean, realizing, you know, that of course I will do the same thing. I mean, as being part of this community of TAM graduates. So I think it's really, I'm really glad, I'm really honored, and I think it's generally a good thing, and I think it also exemplifies one of the good things with the TAM program, is that it brings people together and it keeps people together, and I think that is kind of unique. I think the TAM program so far has been extraordinary. I think it's a lot of discussions. We have very skilled professors with a lot of experience, which means that it's becoming very interesting of having the historical views, of having the theoretical discussions, but also getting into, I mean, what is happening in current affairs. And I really like that it's really linked to what is happening, what is taking place, and the opportunity of being engaged in that and to reflect upon it. And I think that is really a strength of the program. Then obviously the opportunity of being both in the US and being in Europe that is coming on. And I think the students with its varieties of backgrounds, both from America, both from Europe, and also that it's coming from different academical backgrounds, I think merely makes us up to a very nice set of personalities and experiences, which I truly enjoy. I'm really looking forward for doing this TAM program during the 2 years, and I'm glad of having the opportunity of being here in Chapel Hill during the year, and then I'm going overseas to Barcelona and then to write my thesis. And after that, I mean, reality comes back, and I've done kind of, my background is in politics, a bit of academics, a bit of civil society and so on, and I think that I do truly want to continue with my academics and go and do a PhD. And I think I've been encouraged of doing that so far as I've been within inside of the program, so I think that's interesting. And then I am a political person. I think that, you know, we're looking at the world, there's a lot of things that can be better. I think that politics should pay more attention to academics. I think academics should make their voice stronger with the inside of the public discussion, and I think and hope that, you know, I will go back to politics, and I think that is a great thing of being a politician, of carrying people's trust and being able to do things. And I think that interaction between politics and academics is something that should be encouraged more. So I'm hoping to be part of that and being able to continue doing academics, continue to doing politics, and then we see how the world turns out.